Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. This is Umang here. I represent the Hugging Club of India. We have a very special meet. And the reason I call this very special event is that we are launching our talk show. Hugging Club is going a notch higher, and we are launching this talk show, which is around mental health experts talking about their mental illness. This is the first of its kind talk show, and I really appreciate your support for being over here. And I really welcome you, all of you. We have a very special guest who I've just coined her as Taboo Thrasher. She's the one who is bringing change. Of course, she's a change maker too. I'll introduce her in a moment, but let me just run down what Hugging Club of India is all about, especially for people who are here for the very first time. Hugging Club of India is an initiative to remove stigma around mental illness. We started in 2017 because a very close friend, Vishal Tandon, he died of suicide. He was 40, he had chronic depression, and he thought talking about his mental illness, people will think he's immature. So we started Hugging Club of India so people can openly come and talk about and not take such steps, what Vishal did. So I am very close to mental health because I come from a very different family. My mother had schizophrenia and my dad has bipolar. So I've seen my mother talking to ghosts and spirits. She would call up my uncle and say, your dead wife is in my kitchen. I am giving food. I am giving shelter. Please take her. My father, having bipolar, could never keep a steady job. Whenever he would got money, he would go to casinos and gambling houses and not come home for days. And my mom would be sitting over here and crying. So I grew up in this environment, not really proud of my parents. Till somebody told me very profound that, Umang, your mother did not choose schizophrenia. Schizophrenia chose your mom. My dad being bipolar, मेरे पापा बुरे इंसान नहीं है, उन्हें बुरी बीमारी है. With all this, we started the Hugging Club of India, and we are there now in 5 cities. So coming to today's guest, we have someone who is a psychotherapist and mental health educator, Snigdha Mishra. She is a founder of Life Surfers, founding member of Bharatiya Counseling Psychology Association, and Let's Talk. It's a helpline for people having COVID challenges. Her core area of work is in by training laymen in mental health support skills by improving their mental health literacy and counseling. Openly talks about her depression, which was undiagnosed depression, and the mistakes she made in her recovery journey. Her counseling is queer affirmative, and she focuses on improving mental health by enhancing emotional and behavioral health. She's simultaneously nurturing safe spaces, and she's improving help-seeking behavior. She's an avid reader, a fantastic cook, a passionate social activist, and a reader. But the most important thing I want to share about her, Snigdha, she has a lot of courage. She's one of the very few people who openly talks about her mental health challenges. Being a mental health expert, that takes a lot of courage. Every day she's breaking stigma. She's bringing change. She's passionately trying to normalize mental illness. But the most important, by the fact of being here, she's sending a strong message that mental health professionals are not immune to mental health challenges. They are human too. And this is so empowering and liberating. So can we please unmute and welcome the stigma shatterer, taboo thrasher, psychologist, psychotherapist, and mental health educated, Snigdha Mishra. Can you please unmute and welcome her?
Welcome,
Thank you,
Snigdha.
Snigdha, for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for your graciousness and such kind words. I am little unsure if I deserve all the applause because I don't know. I haven't done much. I'm just trying to, in my little capacity, to do what is needed. Uh, because, of course, the more we converse about our human experience of mental health, I always talk about the human experience of mental health challenges because it's important that we look at mental health from that perspective, from the idea that we're all in this together. And it really is not about a diagnosis, it's not about symptoms, it's not about medication, but it's all how we experience it in our beings, and therefore the kind of recovery that each individual deserves, the quality of life that they need to have, and therefore the psychosocial support and understanding and empathy that is needed as a community.
Thank you.
And that's
Thank you.
just my endeavor.
Thank you for being so passionate, about, and you're oozing, that kind of kindness and empathy. Thank you for that. So Snigdha, we start with the first question, being a mental health expert, do mental health experts face challenges regarding their mental well-being, because day and out they're seeing patients with mental health, illnesses and challenges. Does that affect their mental health?
It of course does, because you're listening to people and their stories, their struggles, their trauma, day in and day out. So it would be wrong for me to say that it doesn't affect us at all. It does. Therefore, it's important. Self-care is imperative. We need to take breaks often. In fact, in 2021, which was last year, and is it okay if I share personal examples of the work that I've done
Of
and
course.
why I have done that because of the mental health challenges?
Sure,
So
definitely.
last
Please.
year in 2021, yeah, during COVID, we were seeing devastated loss, and there was devastation, and people were coming to us with grief counseling. And in the midst of it, in May, two of my closest friends lost their mothers. And in the midst of it all, of course, the way things were, we were continuing with the work that we were doing. And it was happening throughout 2020 and then 2021 being as devastating as it was. And it became too overwhelming and challenging for me personally. So I was talking to a couple of peers and fellow therapists, and I realized that we were in the same boat. People were finding it very difficult to cope. And I did not see clients for grief therapy for around 2 months because I put a pause to it. I said that it's impacting me to a level where I do not think I can listen to those stories and be in the right frame of mind to help them. So from mid-May to around mid-July, I did not see anybody for grief counseling. In fact, we started an emotional support group for therapists called Therapist Collective. And it lasted for about, I think from May to around October, November 2021, we ran that support group. And the stories were very similar of how mental health professionals were finding it very difficult to cope. And in fact, they have been finding it difficult to cope for the last one or 1.5 year, but they didn't really find the kind of support. Now, these were extraordinary times. But imagine somebody having the experience of 10, 15 years, 20 years of having to go without the support, or somebody who's very new, who's a new therapist and who doesn't know who to go to for support. And it boils down to the fact that we are humans too. Yes, we have strategies, we have a certain skill set that allows us to take care of ourselves, but that doesn't mean that we never get affected. We do, and we do take breaks. So I've had clients who've had history of trauma, who've had experiences, and they've come to me for help. And I realized that this is something that impacts me directly. So I've redirected them to a different therapist because I realized that ethically it would be wrong if I continue seeing them because they're triggering for me as well. So I have, referred them to somebody else who could be a better. So yes, to your answer, after the long explanation, yes, we do have challenges.
So you shared about during the COVID, but before that, have you faced any secondhand trauma and how did it begin previous to this?
Okay. So there wasn't really any secondary trauma that I I did experience. But yes, there have been clients that have really triggered uh, uh, extreme distress in me, and therefore uh, I did take a break, or I refer them out, as I rightly said. Because I remember in 2017, without taking names, I did have a client who'd lost her parents and siblings uh, to mental health issues. And let me give you a suicide warning here. If anybody during the conversation, during this discussion feels triggered, please feel free to step out. Um, and you can message your own therapist if you have, email me if you feel triggered, and I will take care of you post the session, maybe tomorrow, day after. But please, if you feel triggered, mute the session, move out. We don't want you to, feel extreme distress listening to any part of the conversation. Okay.
Thank you, Snigdha, for that.
So, yeah. So she's lost her parents, one to illness, one to a mother and sister to suicide, and she'd been brought to me because she was extremely depressed. She'd been brought to me by a relative. And after listening to her story, seeing 2 sessions with her, I realized that I am not emotionally capable at that point to take care of her. And I did refer it out. I did apologize. I offered a refund if she'd like. She was kind enough to not take the refund, and she understood. All of 20, she understood where I came from, and so that was, and I took a 3-week break after that because I realized that I'm not in a mental condition to see other clients. And I still spoke to my therapist too. I still have a therapist. I don't have a ongoing mental illness right now, but from time to time, whenever I feel I'm feeling emotionally overwhelmed, I do seek help from my therapist.
Snigdha, your screen is buffering.
Is it okay now?
Yeah,
Can
it's
you hear
okay
me
now. Yeah, it's okay now. It gets frozen in between.
Okay. Is it okay now?
Yeah, it's okay. Please continue.
Yeah. So like I was saying that it wasn't traumatic, it wasn't secondary trauma, but yes, there are clients who, in terms of being triggering or to your anxiety or to an amount of distress where you feel that you need help because you're seeing them, and that's absolutely immune to other people's distress. It's not like we are robots and it doesn't affect us at all. There are times when it does affect us, but we know our boundaries. As long as we know our ethical boundaries in terms of helping the other person or our incapacity at that point to help the other person, it's all taken care of.
Thank you. And thank you for sharing something that you being a therapist have a therapist, This is so inspiring to take help, Thank you for saying that, Being a therapist, you also have a therapist.
I do. Therapists
so
must have therapists. I always encourage all my trainees to do that.
So, Snigdha, you talk, openly about your depression. So, can you tell when did you first realize that you have depression? When did you first realize?
I think I first realized that I had depression when I had already started recovering from it, which was 2.5 years. I think I started developing symptoms of depression in mid 2010, and I was at the peak of it through then 2010, 11, 12. And the recovery, I think, from what my memory can now recollect, because everybody who's experienced depression would understand that they have brain fog and they might have flashes of memory and memory loss and all of that. So I did have that. So I remember in flashes, I like had these chunks of memory and chunks of years that are lost to me. I don't remember them. So 2013 is when I started making my recovery, and that is when I realized that I had depression. And people laugh at me. They said, "Oh, you're a therapist, you're a psychologist," but I wasn't as well trained then as I am now. And 15 years ago, 16 years ago, we didn't really have the kind of training that we have now. So it was difficult for me to diagnose myself. Also, it becomes difficult to diagnose yourself when you're in the midst of it, because you're young. It just, how depression happens, it just engulfs you. And therefore, I say that it went undiagnosed because I didn't realize that I'm going in this downward spiral and I'm consumed by this thing, this gray fog, this cloud of gray, which is depression, and with all the lifestyle changes that happened at that point, the sleep disturbance that happened, the dietary disturbances that happened, and then being diagnosed with PCOS because for 1.5, 2 years, 3 years, all the trash that I was putting into my to my gut, and our gut health and our mental health is all interlinked, and the lifestyle is interlinked to your mental health. And why again I call it undiagnosed is because I did go to a gynecologist who I very clearly remember while she was diagnosing me with PCOD, and she was explaining to me about hobbies and having a lifestyle change and exercise and estrogen and progesterone balance and insulin resistance and all of that, and how I must adopt hobbies and a lifestyle change. In the midst of it, she never, and sleep, how important it is. She had all the markers in front of her to actually see that I have a mental health issue. But funnily, if funnily is a word, or funny enough, she did not send me to a psychiatrist. Until now, I don't know why. The first thing she should have done is to have sent me to a psychiatrist for evaluation, or to, if not a psychiatrist, send me to suggested me a therapist at that point. Then go and speak with her, which she did. And therefore, it lingered on, and it developed into what it was until I realized one final day when I had extreme suicidal thoughts, and I got scared of it, and I realized that if I die, my mother's not going to survive this, and that's when it kind of shook me, and I realized that something seriously wrong with me. I need to take charge of my life. And for everybody who's had mental health challenges, it's not like there's something wrong with you. There was something wrong with me. It's the nature of the symptoms that it changes you as a person. It changes your thoughts, it changes your behavior, it changes the perception of your reality, So yeah, that was my experience. And when I look back, I realized that, even brushing your teeth or taking a bath or putting on kajal, I love makeup. I've always loved it since I was 14, 15 years old. But to not being able to do that, not having the willingness to get out of bed and to just stare at the moving fan is a lot.
It hats off to you. It takes enormous courage to tell openly in public, being a psychologist, that you had suicidal thoughts. This makes so easy for others to open up. Thank you for that, Snigdha.
I hope so. That's my endeavor.
Thank you. So do you think maybe your gynecologist did not tell you, because there is a lot of stigma attached to maybe, mental health professional, taking help. So do you think in the mental health professional, say faculty, fraternity, is there a stigma here there in seeking help?
Could be. I cannot make a declaration or generalize something like that, but could be, because the general tendency, I don't know if it is world over, but a lot of it is in India, that जब आप एक हेल्पिंग प्रोफेशन में होते हो, तो लोग भी और आप अपने आप को भी शायद एक पेडेस्टल पे रखते हो. You put yourself on a pedestal. I think that pedestal needs to go, because you're working with somebody, you're working for somebody. You are not up there. You're there with them in sync, right? So maybe because if people keep them in a pedestal, keep themselves on a pedestal, and the egos are high, they probably would feel that, okay, if I'm a therapist, how can I go to a therapist? It's like saying that if I'm a doctor, I can't fall ill, and that's absolute BS, because you have a body, you have a mind, you have a system that can go wrong, that can go off. We are all humans after all. So I don't understand that, but I'm sure there are people who might feel like that. Yes, it doesn't work for them ultimately, because if you're ill, you're ill. If you have a challenge, it's important that you overcome that challenge and you see through the right method, which is go to a psychiatrist and go to a therapist and work around the lifestyle change, which I did not do, and that is exactly why I had to suffer probably so much. But yeah, that's the mistake I made, and I don't want other people to do that. I want people to, as soon as they realize that there is something wrong, please don't go to Google and diagnose yourself. The least you can do is go to a therapist or go to a psychiatrist. Just ask questions. I don't know. Just understand that there's something wrong and I don't know that. And you can go to a professional to seek answers. Not a diagnosis, not therapy, nothing. Just to seek answers. And that I think everybody can do. Despite being a mental health professional, अगर आपको शर्म आती है तो आप मत बताओ लोगों को कि आप जाते हो. ये मैं सबसे बोलती हूँ. शायद ये काउंटर प्रोडक्टिव है, लोग कहते हैं, बट मुझे लगता है कि अगर आपको शर्म आती है लोगों को बताने में कि आप थेरेपिस्ट के पास जाते हो या साइकियाट्रिस्ट के पास जाते हो, तो मत चिल्लाओ रूफटॉप पे, मत चिल्लाओ लाउड स्पीकर पे, मत बताओ लोगों को, आप जाओ, क्योंकि इलाज करना ज्यादा जरूरी है. जब आपको धीरे धीरे आपको साइको एजुकेशन मिलेगी, आपको रियलाइज होगा कि भाई ये तो डिप्रेशन और एंजाइटी तो भाई इतना कॉमन है कि हर 1 in 3 people have डिप्रेशन एंजाइटी इन इंडिया. तो फिर कोई बात नहीं. और जब हम देखते हैं कि हमको इलाज से फायदा हो रहा है तो हम दूसरे को भी बताते हैं कि भाई इलाज से फायदा होता है, आप जाओ, यू नो.
So Snigdha, looking in hindsight, that was not a mistake, you know. It is now helping so many other people by you openly talking about it. So I think
on the hindsight, yes. But I suffered for like 3-4 years. Yeah.
So Snigdha, you know, after 2.5 years, you came to know. So if you could help the viewers, you know, what exactly you did, what steps you took, you know, after knowing that self-diagnosis that you have depression, how did you manage this?
The first thing I did was I started socializing more. If I said that I have to get out of the house, no matter what. So I would dress up and I would just go. I would meet 1 people or 2 people. I would go get a grab of coffee, and I was staying in a lovely place in Bombay at that time, and Bombay is so safe. So even if I had to go at 12 o'clock in the night and grab a cup of coffee, I would do that. I made amazing neighbors and friends. They're like family now. And they are the reason why I coped with depression. My family that I made in Bombay, amazing people. And they are the reason probably why I'm alive today, because, you know, they help me thrive. They help me feel joy. They help me connect, you know, so social connection can be huge. And then what I did gradually is I started recalibrating how I can improve my work. So I started training better. I started studying again. I started taking, courses to improve my skill as a therapist. And that's how I realized what I need to do. So I applied CBT on my own self, which is cognitive behavior therapy. I started reframing my thoughts around self-doubt, around understanding that my perception of reality is not really reality, it's something else, you know. And so all of these together kind of helped me move towards recovery. And luckily, I haven't really had a relapse since then. Yes, I have low mood. Yes, I do feel depressed, but feeling depressed and having depression are 2 very different things, you know. So you can feel depressed. And what it also allowed me to do is to understand that, okay, these are my triggers, these are my low points. So how do I maintain a balance in my life? So primarily 3-4 things that I did at that time, like socializing, dressing up and going even if I do not want to. I started cooking again. I started making different cuisines again. That's something that I really love doing. Started reading again. All of those things I did, which helped me cope a lot. So, but socializing has to be the number 1 that helped me.
Thank you, Snigdha. Snigdha, maybe if you look back hindsight, 2.5 years, maybe there were some fears, you know, maybe that's why you didn't accept, you know, or it was difficult that, no, it cannot be me. What was going in your mind, you know, in 2.5 years? Of course, you shared, but can you elaborate?
There were no fears because I didn't know that this is what depression is called. Because in the midst of it, you see that everything around your life is wrong. You know, you're not doing the kind of work that you want to do. You're not, your relationships are not the way they're supposed to be. Your house is not the way that it's supposed to be. Your life is not going the way it's supposed to be. Everything in your life seems wrong at that point. And also, you know, I've been born in an environment where women are not just supposed to get married and and just get married and take care of the house. You're supposed to be achievers. You're supposed to study. You're supposed to make a name for yourself. So I realized, oh my God, at 27, nothing is happening. Yeah. What have I done in life at 27? I might as well, instead of studying psychology, I would have sat for my civil services. What is happening? You know? So, so that kind of self-doubt. So I was in the midst of it, Umang, and at that time, there was no fear around the illness because there was no concept of illness. Because the skewed reality of your life is so high that आपको समझ में आता कि ये जो आपके साथ हो रहा है ये बीमारी है, ये आपकी लाइफ नहीं है, right? And the sense of loneliness was so high. There was no mentoring, there was no support system at that point to help me realize that Snigdha, what's happening with you is not really you. It's we see a change, and this is what the illness is about. तो जब तभी मैं बात करती हूँ मेंटल हेल्थ एजुकेशन की, मेंटल हेल्थ लिटरेसी की, कि जब हमको मालूम होगा कि ये क्या है, तब हम उससे जूझ पाएंगे, तब हम डॉक्टर के पास या थेरेपिस्ट के पास जा पाएंगे या सपोर्ट मांग पाएंगे. जब हमको मालूम ही नहीं है कि ये हो क्या रहा है हमारे साथ, तो हम मदद कैसे मांगेंगे और किसके पास मदद मांगेंगे?
Sikta, what you are saying is like a self stigma also, na? It can't be me, it cannot be with me. It's a self stigma also stops people, right?
Yes, it does stop a lot of people. कि मेरे साथ कैसे हो सकता है? This can't be me. यार मुझे कैसे डिप्रेशन हो सकता है? Because उस समय मुझे ऐसा नहीं लगता था, because मुझे तो पता ही नहीं था कि मुझे डिप्रेशन है. But कोई बात नहीं. But जब I lost my train of thought.
We were talking about self stigma.
हाँ, बट जब लोग बात करते, जब मैं खुल के बात करती हूँ इस बारे में, तो लुकिंग एट माय डिस्पोजिशन, लुकिंग पीपल हु नो मी पर्सनली, अदरवाइज दे लाइक, अरे बट तुमको कैसे डिप्रेशन हो सकता है? यू आर सच अ हैप्पी गो लकी, सच अ टॉकेटिव, हैप्पी, प्लेजेंट लुकिंग पर्सन. मैं अपनी तारीफ नहीं कर रही हूँ, बट ऐसा लोग मुझे बोलते हैं. तो मुझे लगता है यार ये हैप्पी डिस्पोजिशन और ये सब एक दिखावा है, क्योंकि आप अपना रोनी स्टोरी आप दिन भर लोगों के सामने गा नहीं सकते हो. इंटरनली आप क्या महसूस करते हो वो सिर्फ आपको पता है, आपका डार्क साइड आपको पता है. क्योंकि मुझे अभी भी याद है वो जो लास्ट मोमेंट था मेरा, व्हेन आई अगेन अ ट्रिगर वार्निंग टू एवरीबॉडी, सॉरी जस्ट वन सेक, या सॉरी. तो जो मेरा लास्ट वो समय था जो मैं आपको बता रही थी कि मुझे सुसाइडल थॉट, वो लास्ट टाइम था जब आया, एंड एकदम से आई रियलाइज दैट कांट हैपन. आई स्टिल रिमेंबर दैट सीन. आई कैन विविडली रिमेंबर कि मेरे वो बड़े वाले फैब इंडिया के कलरफुल कुशन्स थे, एंड इट्स अ चिप मार्बल फ्लोर, एंड कैसे मैं खिड़की को देख रही थी, मैं खुद क्या कपड़े पहनी थी, क्या था. आई विविडली रिमेंबर दैट सीन, एंड इट स्टिल काइंड ऑफ जस्ट गिव मी शिवर्स एट दैट पॉइंट, बिकॉज मुझे लगता है अगर मैंने उस समय अपने आप को चेंज में करने का ठाना नहीं होता तो मेरे साथ क्या होता है ना. तो कमिंग बैक टू योर क्वेश्चन, सेल्फ स्टिग्मा होता है, ये बहुत सही बात है, बिकॉज लोगों को लगता है कि ये कोई बुरी चीज है. मतलब किसी को डायबिटीज हो गया या कार्डियक प्रॉब्लम हो गया या कुछ और हो गया, तो वो अपने आप को नहीं बोलते कि हाय, मतलब ऑब्वियसली बोलेंगे कि हाय मेरे साथ क्या हो गया, बट वो इलाज कराने का सोचेंगे. वो ये नहीं बोलेंगे कि मैं दुनिया से छुपा लूं या मैं लोगों से छुपा लूं या मेरे साथ ऐसे कैसे हो सकता है, राइट. बट मेंटल हेल्थ के बारे में लोग ऐसा इसलिए बोलते हैं क्योंकि हमेशा से ऐसे देखा गया है कि it's about an individual's personality, it is about that person, it is about their behavior, it is about who they become, it is about when we loosely use words like pagal hai kya, are you mad, are you crazy, have you gone bonkers, these are all labeling words, and we have to stop doing that. I have a son who's 4 years old, and we've taught him, both me and my husband. So if anybody around us uses the word mad or pagal, he says, bad word, we can't use that. Yeah.
Good one.
So little things. Yeah, so little things. और ऐसा नहीं कि मैं इतनी बड़ी बातें कर रही हूँ, but कभी मैं भी बोल सकती हूँ, अरे पागल है क्या? Then he'll immediately look at me and said, Mamlu, don't do that. Bad word. I'm like, okay, sorry.
So, what it also means, coming to what you said is also, sometimes when you say that when it comes to physical illness, people take help, it is also sometimes the perception that if I can't control my cancer tumor, it's fine. But if I can't control my mind, then I'm weak.
It's a weakness. It's a character flaw. Sorry. कि मैं तो वीक हूँ इसलिए मेरे साथ ऐसा हो गया. And I'm like, ये weakness नहीं है. So that's where I say that, like discussions like these, people who are watching us and people who are here with us in the room, if you take back anything, I just want people to take back one thing, that symptoms, हर बीमारी के जैसे symptoms होते हैं, वैसे mental health issues के भी symptoms होते हैं, and we need to understand that we keep the person, and the symptoms separate. So I will very briefly, I'm sorry, I'm going a little off the tangent, but I just want to very briefly mention that symptoms can be in the thought, symptoms can be in your emotional reaction, and symptoms can be behavioral. Okay? So it's important to understand that we keep the person and these symptoms different. For example, somebody has depression, self-doubt बहुत होगा, negative thinking बहुत होगी, self-confidence कम होगा, laziness नहीं है उनको, but वो उठ ही नहीं पाते बिस्तर से, वो काम करना चाहते हैं लेकिन वो कर ही नहीं पाते. There is mental lethargy, there is physical lethargy. It's like your body is not responding. Your rational thinking is completely skewed, so decision making नहीं हो पाती है. Hopelessness, helplessness की feeling होती है, and these are all symptoms, and that is why their behavior becomes the way it is. So it is not the person, it is the illness. As long as we understand that, we will have a little bit of kindness and compassion to them, even if we don't understand. And that brings me to the main point, which is if we do not understand something, we understand one thing, that we all can be kind and compassionate. And if we operate out of kindness and compassion, our judgment will be low. And therefore, our support giving will be high. And I will repeat this. If we do not understand anything, if we know nothing about the person, we know one thing about ourselves, that we can be kind and we can show compassion. And when we do that, our judgment is low and our support giving is high. And that is what each one can do, if nothing else. Even as a therapist, if I can't do anything, this is the minimum that I can give to any human being who's my client or who's not my client.
Very, very, very powerful. And it is everybody can apply this, and it is so powerful that if I don't understand, I need not judge anybody, and the judgment will come down the moment I use practice kindness and compassion. Very powerful, Snigdha. Thank you. This is what people don't know how to handle mental illness or somebody. This is what they can do, being kind and compassionate, that's what you can do. Thank you. So, Snigdha, it is said that, somewhere, I don't know whether it is true or misconception, that if you have depression once, you cannot just get it away. It will be there, and maybe you have to take some steps that it doesn't relapse. So how true is it,
So, see, depression बहुत तरीके का होता है. Depression एक तरीके का नहीं होता, right? So it depends on the kind of depression that you have, okay? And the kind of lifestyle adjustments, medication, and combination of therapy that has worked for you. That would also help you in relapse prevention, again, depending on the kind of depression. I'm not going into the technicalities on the clinical aspects of it because this is not the place for it. I don't want to complicate the conversation. So depending again on the kind of depression you have, ये बात सच है कि डिप्रेशन के सिम्टम्स मिनिमाइज हो जाते हैं और रिलैप्स प्रिवेंशन के चांसेस भी कम हो जाते हैं. लेकिन ये बात सच है कि कई बार ऐसा देखा गया है दैट हाँ, वंस यू हैड लाइक अ मेजर डिप्रेसिव एपिसोड और लॉन्ग स्टैंडिंग डिप्रेशन, आपको केयरफुल रहना पड़ता है, सेल्फ केयर करनी पड़ती है कि वो रिलैप्स ना हो. एंड यस, दैट इज ट्रू. ऐसा मुझे भी ऐसे लगता है, और मैं, हालांकि मुझे कभी रिलैप्स हुआ नहीं है, बट जब मेरा थोड़ा सा लो मूड ज्यादा बढ़ जाता है, या जैसे मुझे एक्चुअली डॉक्टर ने बोला है कि अगर आपको अपनी मेंटल हेल्थ को सही रखना है तो आप एक्सरसाइज करो, जो मैं करती नहीं हूँ. और शायद मेरे प्रोफेशन के लिए ये बड़ा गलत है कि मैं पब्लिक प्लेटफॉर्म पे बोल रही हूँ कि मुझे बोला गया, मैं नहीं करती हूँ, और मेरे क्लाइंट, फ्यूचर क्लाइंट या प्रेजेंट क्लाइंट से देखेंगे तो बोलेंगे कैसी डॉक्टर है, कैसी थेरेपिस्ट है, हमको बोलती है एक्सरसाइज करो, खुद नहीं करती. बट अगेन, एज आई से, आई एम आल्सो ह्यूमन बीइंग, आई हैव फ्लॉज. लेकिन अगर मैं कुछ गलत कर रही हूँ तो मैं कभी नहीं चाहूंगी कि मेरा क्लाइंट वो गलत कर रहा है ना, वो भी गलत करे. तो नेवरदलेस ये बात सच है कि रिलैप्स प्रिवेंशन में सेल्फ केयर, अपने साइकाइट्रिस्ट और थेरेपिस्ट के साथ लगातार संपर्क में बने रहने से आपको मार्कर्स जो है वो आसानी से समझ आते हैं कि ओके अब ये ट्रिगर पॉइंट्स हैं, या देखो अभी ये 2 से 7 दिन हो गए हैं मेरे सिम्टम्स जैसे मुझे लग रहा है आ रहे हैं, तो अभी मैं वापस दवा के बारे में पूछ सकती हूँ या थेरेपी चालू कर सकती हूँ। लेकिन ये एक डेक्लेरेशन नहीं है कि रिलैप्स होता ही होता है या डिप्रेशन नेवर गोज। ऐसा नहीं है, दैट इज नेवर गोज, बिकॉज एज आई सेड डिप्रेशन बहुत तरीके का होता है और डिपेंडिंग आपको कैसा डिप्रेशन रहा है इट कैन गो। यू जस्ट नीड टू टेक केयर ऑफ योरसेल्फ, इट्स जस्ट दैट।
Thank you. Thank you. Signa, there are a lot of people from mental health fraternity, who must be seeing this on YouTube or can be over here. So, see, a cardiologist will go for a surgery bypass, but a mental health professional will hesitate to take mental illness. So, any message you would like to share to your fellow, fraternity members?
See, pehle to I will never make this declaration that they will hesitate. I don't know if they will, but they might, because they're also human. सबको सबको लगता है कि मेरे साथ कैसा हो गया, क्योंकि ये बात भी सच है कि एज अ मेंटल हेल्थ प्रोफेशनल आपके पास स्किल्स थोड़े ज्यादा होंगे बिकॉज ऑफ योर ट्रेनिंग टू अंडरस्टैंड एंड टू टेक केयर ऑफ योरसेल्फ। और डिस्पाइट दैट अगर होगा तो हो सकता है किसी किसी को ऐसे लगे दैट इट मे बी स्टिग्मा उनको लगेगा या शर्म आएगी जाने के लिए। तो अगर किसी को ऐसा लगता है तो मेरा उनसे विनम्र निवेदन है कि प्लीज ऐसा ना करें। If you do feel that there's something about you which is off, you're not able to name it, you're not even able to diagnose it for yourself, it's absolutely fine. What I suggest to everybody, if you think that there is something off, okay, just go to a psychiatrist or a therapist to just ask and have a conversation, open heart conversation around what's happening with you. If there is a diagnosis, fair enough. If there is not a diagnosis, that doesn't mean that you don't have a mental health issue. So a diagnosis will lead to, can happen with symptoms and therefore a diagnosis of an illness. But not all, mental health is a spectrum. It exists as a spectrum, as a line. जो कुछ प्रॉब्लम से लेकर ज्यादा क्लिनिकल प्रॉब्लम्स तक आपको लेकर के जाती है, तो कोई जरूरी नहीं है आप उस स्पेक्ट्रम में हैं तो आप नॉन क्लिनिकल मेंटल हेल्थ इश्यूज में भी हो सकते हैं, है ना। सो इट्स बेटर कि आप एक थेरेपिस्ट या साइकियाट्रिस्ट के पास जाके पता कर पाए कि क्या आपको दवा की जरूरत है या सिर्फ लाइफस्टाइल चेंजेस और साइकोलॉजिस्ट के पास जाके आपकी प्रॉब्लम का सोल्यूशन निकल सकता है, या अगर आपको डायग्नोसिस है तो क्या दवा चाहिए, कितने दिन तक चाहिए, उसके साथ साइकोथेरेपी चाहिए, लाइफस्टाइल चेंजेस चाहिए, कैसे चाहिए, दवा कितने महीने चलेगी, कब वीन ऑफ होगी, थेरेपी कितने महीने चलेगी, कब वीन ऑफ होगी, रिलैप्स प्रिवेंशन के लिए आप क्या कर सकते हैं, किस तरीके का साइको सोशल सपोर्ट की आपको जरूरत है। तो बहुत सारी चीजें होती हैं। तो ये मेरा कॉमन मैसेज है टू एवरीबडी, टू मेंटल हेल्थ प्रोफेशनल ऑल्सो एंड टू एनीबडी हु फील्स दैट देयर इज समथिंग ऑफ एंड दे आर नॉट एबल टू पिन पॉइंट। बस कुछ गड़बड़ लग रहा है, कुछ ऐसा लग रहा है कि जैसी मैं थी मैं या वेट और वेट लॉस हो है, तो right?
Yeah, sorry,
right?
It was
Did
buffering.
you lose me somewhere?
Yeah, now it's fine. It was buffering.
Sorry.
Yeah, but we got your message. Thank you. Loud and clear. What I want to ask is, Snigdha, you are here, breaking taboos, trying to help people, bring a change, which, passionately trying to normalize mental illness. But somewhere you think this will dilute your credentials, people may judge you, ऐसा कभी लगता है कि लोग सोचेंगे अरे मेरे को डिप्रेशन था, मैं लोगों को क्या, ठीक खुद का डिप्रेशन खुद को मालूम नहीं पड़ा तो मेरा मेंटल इलनेस कैसे जज करेगी, डायग्नोस करेगी। Does this ever happen to you? Do you think it may have a adverse effect?
No, I don't. I don't know how and I don't know why, but I don't. मेरी चमड़ी बहुत मोटी है, तो मुझे वाकई में फर्क नहीं पड़ता, because in an ideal world everybody would love each other, everybody would like each other, everybody would support each other, but we don't live in an ideal world and I don't hope for an ideal world because it will be like बहुत ज्यादा चीनी खा ली किसी ने, मतलब बिल्कुल चीनी खाते रहो, कुछ नमक मसाला कुछ खा ही नहीं रहे हो। I don't want that. And I don't expect people to like me. I don't expect people to respect me. I don't expect people to love me. I don't. I have reached that level through therapy, through applying my own skill sets as a therapist on myself, after heartbreak, after reassessing and recalibrating my own value systems, my own belief systems. People will think what they have to think. I cannot lead my life based on what I assume people will assume about me. That's too much of work. Who has so much of energy कि लोग मैं भी ये सोचूं कि लोग मेरे बारे में क्या सोचेंगे तो फिर लोग क्या सोचेंगे so
Absolutely, absolutely. It is so lovely, it's like living life without filters on social media, it's like that, you are being true yourself.
दिक्कत का काम होता है बट ये बड़ी दिक्कत का काम होता है क्योंकि बहुत बहुत बेशर्मी चाहिए ये काम करने के लिए कि आप बेबाक होके बोल सकें जो आप बोलना चाहते हैं एंड माय हस्बैंड इज समबडी हु ऑलवेज टेल मी कि ये 10 शब्दों की चीज है इसको 2 शब्दों में बोल के खत्म करो एंड आई एम लाइक नहीं मुझे 10 शब्द चाहिए होते हैं 10 सेंटेंस चाहिए होते हैं बोलने के लिए so yeah but that's how I think I always have been.
That is good. That is absolutely good because you talking like this, so many people are encouraged to open up and talk, because it is a huge thing you're doing, being a mental health professional, talking about mental illness. It's not only going to inspire layman or everybody, even the fraternity, other mental health experts.
I hope so क्योंकि ना सोच के बोलोगे तो मतलब सोच के तो बोलती हूँ ऑब्वियसली ऐसा नहीं कि कुछ भी बकवास बोल दिया सॉरी बट see the idea is to be true to yourself. Okay, maybe 5 years down the line I change as a person. I don't know, maybe 10 years down the line I become a different person, but right now this is who I am. This is who I feel is my authentic self, and that's how I want to remain because इनऑथेंटिक रहोगे तो कितना मेंटल काम करना पड़ेगा ना सोचना पड़ेगा कब क्या बोला था फिर किसके सामने क्या बोला था इतना नहीं याद रख सकते मैं तो नहीं रख सकती सॉरी बॉस तो मुश्किल काम है ना
You're absolutely right because then we are pretending na then we are not being ourselves what you are saying is right.
Yeah true.
Thank you
वो ज्यादा मेहनत का काम है इतनी मेहनत मुझसे नहीं होती मैं बहुत लेजी हूँ.
Thank you for that lovely insight. So I want to open up for everybody, people can raise their hand and ask questions. Is that okay, Snigdha?
Yes, absolutely. Somebody in fact did raise her hand in the middle of the conversation. उनका नाम B से शुरू होता है मैंने देखा था बट हम बात कर रहे थे
भावना अरोड़ा मैम
भावना yes भावना raised her hand yes.
Yeah, I had raised my hand, Snigna. Thanks a lot for noticing it. But my question was answered immediately when you were speaking about my question was basically, how do you know that you are going through this mental illness? But you answered it immediately. So I just put my hand back.
Okay. I'm glad I could answer that, Bhavna.
Yeah, before I could ask anything, I was clear on it. Thank you so much.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, Kapil, go ahead with your question.
Hi, Umang. I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Thank you. I cannot put the camera on, so apologize for that. I'm in a dark place and I'm taking a walk, so sorry about that. Bhavna, thank you so much for such lovely responses to all our questions. It was lovely to have you amongst us. We feel like you're just one among us, so thank you so much for coming down.
I am the one amongst you. Just I don't identify completely as just being a mental health professional. I am more than that, no?
Thank you so much,
bigger than the profession.
Thank you so much.
Sorry, Snigdha, let me hold you on that. Absolutely. You are more than your mental professional and we are more than our illness. We are not just our illness. So
yeah.
Thanks for saying that.
Thank you.
Kapil, go ahead.
Thanks so much. The struggle, I wouldn't say I'm facing it per se personally, but I'm sure, like you've discussed just now, everybody goes through this challenge of whether I should get off the bed and I should start working. Will it change my mood? I do practice that, and I'm somebody who tries to keep fit. But there are days and there are times when you just don't want to take your head off the pillow and take your hands out of the pillow, basically. And I start jumping and doing something stupid, basically. And I am the bindas person that everybody knows me in HCI as well. Sometimes, sometimes I do carry this in me that, I go back home and did I just say something too much? But then when people like you say that, no, you have to be bindas and you have to be really carefree, it really gives me a good kind of a feeling, basically. However, that also, brings a thought in my mind that amongst the mental health people, not just the professionals, but people who are actually suffering and taking treatment, there are sometimes I don't want to use this. I'm looking for the right word. Basically, it's very difficult for people to speak up and talk, like you said. How are we supposed to get people to talk? Basically, how do we get them to speak and tell them that it's okay to be stupid, it's okay to just let your heart out, and it's okay to just put your cards on the table, and it's just fine, and there's no judgment. The reason HCI was created is because we have to speak non-judgmentally about ourselves and let other people speak out, and then don't give them the feeling that, no, now you're speaking out, now I'm going to judge you. Not just HCI, but anywhere else. When you talk about a mental health group is such, how are we supposed to act, and how are we supposed to be friends with people around the mental health fraternity? How are we supposed to make a calming atmosphere and a cool atmosphere so that people can easily open up? That's my question, basically, to you. Thank you so much.
Okay. So the first thing is that people don't have to lay their cards on the table. They don't have to talk. If they like to talk, if they want to talk, it's okay that they talk. And see, the idea is that they're in a peer support group. Okay. Now, if in a peer support group, you can't force somebody to talk or talk their heart out. They will eventually, if they feel like it, and maybe just by listening to other people, they understand their own illness better and they understand their own recovery journey better. So you can't force anybody for anything, and that's the first rule of being supportive. That you support the person in terms of the kind of support they need and not the kind of support that you think you should give. Right? Because everybody's recovery journey is different. Everybody's realization of their symptoms, of where they are placed in life, is very different. So the idea of being supportive and kind and compassionate, as we keep talking about, is also allowing them to give them a safe space to be who they are. And if that means that they are just there, like a fly on the wall, absolutely fine if that's what they want to be. See, I am a chatterbox, right? I'm sure you have understood by now. So हम एक्सट्रोवर्टेडनेस को या बात जो करते हैं ना, उनको जरूरत से ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंस देते हैं. इतनी इंपॉर्टेंस देने की जरूरत नहीं होती, क्योंकि वो अपने दिमाग में अपने लिए खुद ही बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होते हैं, है ना? तो जो क्वाइट है, जो बात नहीं कर पा रहा है या नहीं करना चाहता, उसको सपोर्ट गिविंग दूसरे तरीके से दी जाती है. कोई जरूरी नहीं है कि बात करना जरूरी है सपोर्ट देने के लिए या सपोर्ट लेने के लिए. Just by holding somebody's hand or sitting next to them is enough support sometimes for someone, or allowing them to just listen peacefully and coexist in that safe space is enough security for them.
Thank you, Snigdha. Kapil, sorry, Kalindi, go ahead. Kalindi, do you have a question?
Thank you so much for that answer.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Kalindi.
Hello. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
Yes, actually, I'm traveling. Just give me a second. थोड़ा सा ऊपर क्या? Hello. Actually, ma'am, I just whatever you were saying now, I just related with you, and everything is like same. I can say that I'm going through the same thing, and I'm like you only. And also, I did NLP, ma'am, and for my husband, like to get neuro, means to understand him. And even I received a certificate also for coaching, but I only was in mental stress for 1 year, and Umang brought me out of it. And I do go to psychiatrist, and I do take my sessions where therapies, and I'm out of it. And now I've learned to cope up. And seeing on me, same person like you, like I can just relate. ऐसा लगता है कि you are my copy, I think, and I'm going through that only. Nice. So yeah, and मैं बिंदास बोलती हूँ सबको, तो बहुत अच्छा लगा आपका सब सुन के. तो मैं मैसेज करती जा रही because I was traveling and my brother, so I thought because my battery may go off. My battery may go off. So Yeah, thank you, ma'am, so much. And ma'am, I'm coping up with my husband. Like
Okay.
he was under neuro medicines, so
Okay.
he left taking that. Earlier,
Okay.
he was 35 years, 30 plus alcoholic, physical abuse and all. So that's forget.
Okay.
But what happened is he stopped taking his medicine. So now I'm helping myself to cope up with him. Also, my children had gone to the same. Even they
Okay.
physically abuse and alcohol and tobacco. So
Okay.
I've
But
come
that's
out of it.
wonderful,
Yeah,
Kalindi.
yeah. Thank you. Yeah, tell me something. Can you throw some light that I'm coping up, but anything because आप इतने बिंदास हो, इतने cool हो, तो I think you will tell me something. Thank you.
Just say that hang in there, and I'm sure you know better than me what you are supposed to do to take care of yourself. You know yourself
Yeah,
more than I
yeah,
know you. So आप जो कर रहे हो, if it is working for you, then hats off to you. बट अगर आपको
thank you,
कभी भी
ma'am.
ऐसे लगता है कि आप एग्जॉस्ट हो गए हो या आपकी जो कोपिंग स्किल्स हैं वो अभी काम नहीं कर रही हैं, then of course you know seek help again, seek out to your peer
Yeah,
support, seek out to Umang,
yeah,
and yeah, we're all there to help.
Thank you,
yeah.
Snigdha,
And
for
I do
listening.
relapse sometimes. I do relapse sometimes, but again I come back. I have made some reminders for me. Then I remember my
Okay,
HCI team and family, and I have kept some reminders. So I take a deep
great.
breath. I take some half cup tea, and then again I come. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay,
Lovely
Thank you.
talking to you. And ma'am, do come again. Thank you.
sure, I will आप
Thank you,
जब
Kalindi.
बुलाएंगे.
Definitely बुलाएंगे. Francisco, please go ahead with your question.
Hi, hi. Actually, I had a question. Now you said where you spoke about triggers. Because the most thing from me is like anybody triggers me and I just go relapse. So now, how do you maintain those triggers? Could you put a light on that?
Okay, so triggers mean different things for different people. Okay, even a movie can be a trigger. Okay, and it depends what your diagnosis, what your condition is. For someone who maybe is in therapy and recovery and managing symptoms of OCD, trigger can be something else. For somebody who, again, a trigger warning, we're going to talk about trauma. I'm going to mention trauma. For someone who's experienced trauma of any kind, triggers can be very different, and trauma also represents differently. Here I'm not talking about PTSD, but I'm talking simply about maybe emotional abuse or any other form of abuse, or having seen or grown up in a house where parents were indifferent and emotionally unavailable. That is also trauma as a child growing up. So trauma means different things, so the trigger can be very different. The idea is therefore to go to a therapist, understand what your pattern of reaction and response is, how does that impact you, and therefore to be able to handle it and cope with it if there are triggers, apparent triggers in your immediate environment or in your environment at office. और कभी आपको किसी तरह की मूवी देखते हो और उससे आपको ट्रिगरिंग थॉट्स आने लगते हैं दोबारा. So I would always say, if you recognize, if you see that you're being triggered often, seek help from a professional so that you're able to maintain a certain amount of quality of life despite the triggers. The idea is कि ऐसे नहीं है कि triggers exist ही नहीं करेंगे, वो exist करेंगे, but आपको मालूम होना चाहिए कि हम उसको manage कैसे करें, हम cope कैसे करें. ओके, डिस्ट्रेस तब हाई अगर डिस्ट्रेस है और आप कोप नहीं कर पा रहे हैं तो डिस्ट्रेस हाई रहेगा और हाई डिस्ट्रेस मेंटेन रहेगा, एंड देयरफॉर आपको दिक्कत होगी. लेकिन अगर डिस्ट्रेस है और आप उससे कोप कर पा रहे हैं, देन इट्स ओके. डज दैट आंसर योर क्वेश्चन?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Rahul, go ahead.
Ma'am, actually, I'm suffering from schizophrenia as well as OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. So, schizophrenia is in control, and I am on medication since last 20 years now. So, it is like OCD developed out just 9 to 10 years back. So now at the moment, OCD is very high. I'm under medication, but then OCD doesn't come down, though my medications are
Therapy?
very, yeah,
Are
therapy
you in
also.
therapy?
Yeah, therapy also is going on, but since I am now located at a different location and I have to travel to Pune for my medication and doctor visits, so it takes time to. I'm actually working, so it's difficult to get leave and then go and talk to doctors. So sometimes I try online also. So for OCD, like it's very high and it doesn't let me concentrate fully in my job also.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I just
What
want,
I would suggest, sorry, please carry on.
yeah. So I just wanted your advice, like what could be done for this OCD, because I am under medication and I have shown it to different doctors. They say medication and the treatment going on is okay, and you should recover. But then the fact is, like schizophrenia is in control, but OCD has going out of control. Sometimes
Hmm.
it becomes very embarrassing in the society,
Yeah.
like for your social interaction also, that once you're having OCD, people like you're
Yeah.
doing same thing again. So it
Mm-hmm.
becomes a compulsive, behavior at
Yeah.
times.
I would request you to seek help of a clinical psychologist. A psychiatrist can help you in your medication, and that's okay if you're happy with your psychiatrist and how the medication is going. But for your therapy, I would recommend please go to a clinical psychologist. Uh, I don't know which city you are in, but there are very
I'm
good
in
clinical
Aurangabad right now.
psychologists. You're in
I'm in,
Aurangabad, okay?
yeah.
Okay. There are very good clinical psychologists who also function, see clients online. So if
Mhm.
you want recommendations, you can please email me. Umang can help you get in touch with me, and I will send you recommendations for a clinical psychologist who can help you with managing your symptoms of OCD. Okay, but a combination of therapy, lifestyle changes, and medication is an ideal combination that works to help you manage your symptoms. Okay.
Thank you,
Yeah, but
Snigdha.
just to add to that, ma'am, actually, like I consulted, like I just mentioned, I consulted some doctors also. So, and therapist also. So everything is going on, but OCD is not coming under, that, in that control, so that I can focus on my other routine, like going for a walk or talking to people or something like this. So what would you advise for that?
So I think maybe your psychiatrist and your clinical psychologist need to kind of have a conversation together to reassess your treatment plan and see what's happening.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why are the symptoms the way they are and why are they not in control? And you can be in the meeting with them, of course,
Mhm.
and see where it goes from there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Snigdha.
Yeah, thanks.
Snigdha, it
Thanks.
was 8 to 9. We're beyond 9 and there are still hand raised. So do we have more time or we would wind up?
Yeah, we can take 3, 4 more questions. No worries.
Thank
And
you.
if
Thank you so
there are
much.
people who want to still ask questions, they can always email me. That's okay. No worries.
Thanks for being generous. So can we start with Archana?
Hi, ma'am. This is Archana from Pune, and my question is, there are certain pattern of your life. Like I have been a single daughter, so I've been trained and educated very strong. So at the age of 21, I got married, and then that strong personality I took and I have carried on. And then my husband, after 2, 3 years of my marriage, detected as like sugar, blood sugar, and schizophrenia. So that he's into mental illness past 20 years. So handling that, like quite often he never used to go office. So like I had 3 kids now and I'm handling kind of single mother, you can say, because I have a husband, but then I have to look after him, in short. So that strong personality has become my which was my strength, has become my weakness somewhere, which I feel now is I have no option to be strong after that. So now my issue is handling all that. I have also seeking now therapy of codependency, and I was always vouching for love because I never received it. Okay, so now my question is, whenever I go and share my, something, look, the people always take it, like even my children, everyone समझते हैं मैं कुछ ऐसे जादू कर दूंगी और सब ठीक कर दूंगी. I am so strong. So how can you be, like, अरे तू तो बहुत strong है, तू कैसे ऐसे, जैसे आपने बोला वो मुझे बहुत relate किया कि a psychologist cannot be weak. ऐसा नहीं होता है. We are human first. So I also very strong हूँ, लेकिन मुझे भी तो shoulder चाहिए रोने के लिए. But then ऐसे होते होते I stopped sharing, people, and मैंने वो strong होते होते now I got tired. I feel somehow कि इससे अच्छा तो I used to say that death is something, कैसे कोई मरता है यार, मरने का सोचता भी कैसे है. Now I feel it's better यार मैं मर जाऊं और सब खत्म हो जाए, कुछ चाहिए ही नहीं. No, that is a dead end.
आप अपने थेरेपिस्ट से बात करती हैं? आपकी
हाँ, मैं
थेरेपी
करती हूँ
चालू
मैम.
है अभी?
चालू है
हाँ?
मैम, और बहुत फायदा भी हुआ है मुझे उससे. So this is one part of it. So my question is, I'm also like now I have taken certain decision after therapy, to close some doors which is triggering my, there was a relationship which was triggering my personality and everything, which is making me low. So I have, after my therapist has advised, and I feel it is right, so I did that. So it is like I'm going through very tough phase right now. So so my question is, कि स्ट्रॉन्ग होने के बावजूद आप वीक तो हो सकते हो, मतलब आप ऐसा तो नहीं कि कोई जादू, बिकॉज माय हस्बैंड इज बीइंग ट्रीटेड बाय हरीश शेट्टी इन बॉम्बे. So there are a lot of times I went to him, I said मुझे भी दवाई दो, मेरे को भी जरूरत है, मतलब, and he gave me, he really helped me a lot of time in 20 years. So that's my question कि how to help that self doubt. वो खुद को भी होता है ना, मतलब आप खुद भी एक बार समझना कि मैं स्ट्रांग हूँ, तो मैं कैसे बात करूँ.
बस स्ट्रॉन्ग का मतलब ये थोड़ी होगा कि कभी आप वल्नरेबल नहीं हो सकते. ये किसने कहा? कोई we can be vulnerable as a personality. I can be strong, and that means that I take decisions or I take responsibilities head on, or I'm somebody who will take initiative and take care of things. But that doesn't mean that while taking care of things, I don't feel vulnerable, or I will not feel low, or I don't feel overwhelmed. So first, so you have to accept that, dude, I'm a human being, and just because I'm a strong person, because I do what needs to be done, that's what a strong person does, right? I can be vulnerable. I can be miserable at times. I can feel hopeless and helpless. And the good thing is that you are seeking therapy. So you are in a place where you can vent, where you can talk, and you be your most vulnerable. The second thing is, a lot of the times, which happens with people like you or people like me, is that because we are such strong people who take things headstrong, sometimes when we want help from our peers or people around us, we are not able to get it. And after many years of, kind of thinking about it and feeling vulnerable and feeling helpless and feeling angry at other people, like really angry at other people I used to be, I realized that it's okay if they are not able to help me. It's all right if they're not able to help me and I feel helpless at times and I do feel vulnerable, and that's absolutely okay. I can take a pause. And I have taken in life decisions very strongly, like you have, to cut myself off from people who are extremely toxic and who are not able to gel with me and give me the nice vibe and be supportive of me. And that's okay. They can be the people closest to you, and they can be people, they can be your friends, family, whosoever. Emotionally cut off. Create that boundary, because there are times when people generally do not understand us, and it's okay. तो पहले तो ये एक्सेप्ट करना कि भाई, just because I'm strong doesn't mean that I cannot be vulnerable. ऐसा नहीं होता है. I can be vulnerable. I'm a human being. तो क्या हुआ? इतना झेलते झेलते हम भी तो थक जाते हैं ना.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. When you said it, even strong people can be vulnerable. So many people, there are moment of weakness also, and you said something very powerful, that even people around us don't help us. It's fine. Maybe they are not capable of helping also.
They're not capable. They don't have that mental, physical, or emotional capability to genuinely help us. It's not like they don't want to. उनको पता ही नहीं है, उनको समझ ही नहीं है. तो हमें ऐसे इंसान के पास जाना ही क्यों है जो मदद मांगने के लिए, जो केपेबल ही नहीं है ना हमारी मदद करने के लिए, राइट? और वीकनेस नहीं होती है, वल्नरेबिलिटीज होती है ना? स्ट्रॉन्ग का मतलब ये थोड़ी होता है कि हम दुखी नहीं हो सकते, या हम पावरलेस या अंडर कॉन्फिडेंट नहीं फील कर सकते, या हम ओवरवेल्म नहीं हो सकते. That's all part of a powerful person. In fact, a powerful person is somebody who owns their vulnerabilities and accepts them for what it is.
Thank you. Thank
That
you for
becomes
that.
your superpower.
Yeah.
Bhavna, please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi again, Snigna. Actually, just while listening to everybody, I just realized that last few days I've been having these like emotion breakdowns and all. I don't know why. I mean, I've never been into a therapist. I was never aware of, in fact, mental illness until last few years. So do you think it is a concern of mental illness, or should I meet some therapist or something like that? Because it's been happening. It has happened to me earlier also, but I have always come out of it on my own. But this time, I don't know why I'm feeling last few days very emotionally broken down and don't know what's going on.
If you feel like it, and if you think that you don't have your answers, and if you think that you're not able to cope with what's happening with you, I would advise speak to a therapist. Why not? If nothing, it will help you understand what's going on with you, and maybe search within you the coping skills that you probably have. Or if you feel in the first or two sessions speaking with a therapist that you need further help and that the therapist can help you have more coping skills, then why not?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Snigdha. Yeah.
Therapy
Pradeep,
is
go
not
ahead.
just about illness, and it's not about symptoms. It can also be very powerful in terms of venting, catharsis, and also self-exploration.
Yeah.
It's not only about fixing a problem.
Yeah. Hi, Pradeep. Pradeep is from Singapore. Pradeep, go ahead. Pradeep, are you there?
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi, doctor. So very quickly, but just to give you a background that I have anxiety disorder, and it's a result of multiple traumas that I've gone through as I grew. I'm very much in control. I'm under intense therapy and all of that. And even till today, people who are very close to me, I fear abandonment and fear the fact that they will leave me. Of course, while I have addressed these to a great extent, and I'm fortunate that a lot of things have got sorted, something that happened last week, and I want to bring this up for all of us to think, including and get your opinion, is sometimes we forget that the people around us also have their own set of traumas and triggers. It might not be as intense as we might have it, but at that moment, how do we also ensure that we do our part to protect them, that our trauma or trigger does not really trigger them or traumatize them, because we wouldn't want them to go through what we did. Just want your thought on this, because I happened to spend time with some people last week who were very close to me, and they shared with me that how they understood me. At the same time, at times they would avoid me, is not because they would avoid me, but because my trauma or a different me would traumatize them or trigger them to not be able to manage certain things, and they would really feel helpless. So it gave me a very different perspective towards things, and I would like to do better. So just want to have your opinion.
Okay, so if you like to do better, ask them how you can make it better for them.
Well, in fact, I was very fortunate. They got on a Google Sheet and actually prepared a Google Sheet with a lot of keywords as well, when I could reach them, and they can't. So it was very interesting. I really appreciate it. And I just feel a little pressured, actually, frankly, that I have a lot to do this week onwards, because they have put in so much effort towards this to ensure and assure me that I'm equally important. And now the onus is on me as well to ensure that I do not go back with all the traumas every now and then, and learn to manage things myself. So I want to do something on my part also.
Yeah. So if it is a matter of time, then maybe you can ask them for more time and tell them that, I understand that be honest. The idea is about honesty and authenticity here, because they seem to be people who genuinely care about you and you care about them. There's a lot of love that I see, between these people and you. So the idea is being authentic to yourself then and being honest. So if you feel that they put in the effort and you want to put in an equal amount of effort or more, ask them for a little more time so that you can prepare yourself and you can read through the Google Sheet and put in your inputs there and, kind of incorporate their feedback. Right.
So all of that is in place all the time. All of that is in place. But somewhere now that I'm back on my own, I feel pressured that will I mess up? Will I trigger them? Will my, when I go into that zone, when my trauma comes
But
back,
that's nice,
how can I avoid triggering them?
But Pradeep, that's really nice because you're thinking about it. You're thinking about making them comfortable and creating a safe space for them. The only idea is that if it is really hassling and distressing for you, maybe that's something that you can take it up with your therapist in your next session around how you can, instead of being overwhelmed by it all, take it in your stride and use it as a strategy for your own self to maintain a certain calm or to maintain a decent amount of coping, so that you don't get overwhelmed, and therefore therapy good for you in the next two sessions or three sessions if you feel like it, because that'll need a lot of strategizing, using a lot of coping skills existing and maybe new ones to help you stay on the path.
Right, understand. Yeah, that's definitely something that I'm going to do. But yeah, thank you so much, yeah, for that opinion. But
I hope
yeah.
that makes sense to you, because
Oh yes,
I mean,
definitely.
in order
Means
for
I've come a long way. I've come a long way, and
Yeah.
Umang has been very graceful to always praise me for my achievements. And in fact, the people around me, all these people who do see that I am two different people at one. I got this comment that at one avenue they see me as a grown-up person, very matured, very caring, very a problem solver. Suddenly I go into a mode where I become like a small child because I go into that traumatized and they've seen two different me's and they really want me to be out of it. So definitely I'm glad that people are around, and I just think that we all need to be very, very strong to not confuse our wiring inside and keep untangling all the wiring. And hearing to you as well has been very, very inspirational to how you have come across this. And I share a very deep relation with my therapist as well, because my therapist today is connected to me in the sense that he tells me one thing, Sari dunya chhod degi, tere ko main nahi chhodunga. That's the kind of bonding he has with me. And
so
yet there is
sweet.
professional boundaries that he draws where he says, when you stop therapy with me, we'll go out and have a drink together. But until you're I'm in therapy with you, the professional boundaries will be there. So that's the kind of bonding I have, and I know how it makes a difference. So he's on a holiday today, my therapist, and he's sharing pictures with me, just like I was on holiday last week and I was supposed to share pictures with him. And coincidentally, we went to the same destination. So a lot of different
Thank you,
insights
Pradeep.
that
Thank
we
you
get.
for that. Yeah, this is the last question. Thank you, Snigdha. Ray, please go ahead with your question.
Yeah, hello. Is my voice audible? I hope so.
Yeah, you're audible.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, the first question I wanted to ask, I have a couple of questions. First question I wanted to ask, how long depression may last? For what could be the longest period it may last for someone? And the second thing I wanted to ask about, I have been in a therapy. I'm already in a touch with a psychiatrist as well. I have been in therapy earlier. And what do you think, what sort of a therapy could be helpful for someone who is going through a depression for a long? I have been in a therapy like psychoanalytic, and it was a very long period of as well, around 15, 16 months. And the only thing, I was really able to connect with them as well. The only thing, it wasn't working. I was expecting they would be a little bit more dynamic. But the truth is, it is now when I connect with a therapist and when I do the session and when I get into a sort of CBT or that sort of therapy, I feel वो बहुत स्पीड में चलता है थेरेपी, एंड आई बिलीव लाइक इफ इट कुड बी मोर डायनामिक along with the psychoanalytic or something like that, CBT, DBT, it could be more helpful. And actually, I mean, I have a real difficult time as well to connect with the therapist. I was in a touch with that therapist for a very long, I mean, at least for 15, 16 months, something around that. But the only reason it wasn't working, so I believe they were not able to be more dynamic. I mean, I was expecting that they would be dynamic,
Okay.
and I had conveyed that
Fine.
as well a couple of times to them.
Okay.
Okay, Ray, we got it. There are two questions. One is how long the depression will last. And the second one is if the psychologist can be more dynamic. He's not able to build a rapport. He's trying to find a good psychologist, but he's not able to connect all these years.
Yeah. So, first question, का जवाब ये है that there is no definite years or months की depression कब तक चलता है. तो इसका तो कोई जवाब नहीं है frankly speaking, क्योंकि depression बहुत तरीके का होता है depending on कि कैसा depression है. It can last for months to years, and of course it also is determined by the kind of help that you are seeking. Now the second question is, yes, actually evidence suggests that CBT works wonderfully well with someone experiencing depression, and the recovery and the rate of relapse. Recovery is very high and relapse is very low with somebody who's had successful stints with CBT, because CBT also teaches you how to manage your symptoms very, very well. So मुझे ऐसे लगता है that CBT has a great scope in terms of being dynamic itself, because CBT is structured like that it can take multiple therapies together and work with somebody, right? So it can work within the CBT spectrum, can work with narrative, it can work with humanistic approaches, it can work with multiple things while remaining in the core CBT structure. So मुझे बस ऐसे लगता है that if you can find, maybe अगर आपका therapist के साथ rapport ही नहीं है, तो फिर तो आप कुछ भी therapy करोगे, it will be very difficult for you, है ना? तो अगर आप you hunt for a different therapist and see what works for you, okay? Because if there is no rapport with your therapist, then it will be very difficult for you to work with any therapist in the world, चाहे वो कितना ही skilled हो. Okay.
Thank you, Snigdha, for all the insights and tips you have given. And believe me, it's such a powerful session where you opening up about yourself. It's so liberating and inspiring for others to take help. Like now we don't want to call it a mistake, because you have inspired others. So it no longer qualifies as a mistake, but it has been a very powerful session. You've done very well. Thank you so much. Even a simple thing which you said, कि अगर कुछ है तो जाके बात करो, so simply you have put, just go, like you also said to Bhavna, go to somebody and just talk. That's it. That's so simple, Don't worry about what others think or I'm weak. And two powerful things which you said, I want to sum it up with. One is you are different from your illness, when you feel कि मैं खराब हूँ या बुरा हूँ, कि मैं weak हूँ, no, you are a different person and your symptoms are different. You are not your illness. You are not your symptoms. They are two separate things. So don't label yourself. That is very powerful. And other you said is that if you can't do anything, just be kind and compassionate. The moment you be kind and compassionate, you don't judge people. Okay, why is he yelling? Why is he behaving? Why is he coping like that? So thank you so much, Snigdha. Can you please unmute and give a round of applause for a fantastic session which she has done with us? Can you please unmute and give a round of applause to Snigdha?
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. And I'm here if you guys need help. I'm on Instagram and Twitter, and I also have my email. You can just Google it. It's available on Google. So I'm on Twitter as MH with Snigdha, so you can follow me there. And otherwise you can ask for my email from Umang if nothing else. I'm there to help. So don't worry. I can answer your questions even after the session is over. And hope to see you all soon with Hugging Club of India.
Thank you.
Thank
and
you,
you're
Umang,
very
for having me.
popular also. You got 5,000 plus followers.
Where?
I think LinkedIn or something. I saw something. 5,000 followers.
I don't know.
I think
Yeah,
so.
Hi, ma'am.
beautiful.
Okay.
Ma'am,
I don't know.
hello. I just reached
Yeah.
home. Sorry.
Hardik Anand, you wanted to ask something?
I said that I just reached home and I got to see you because while traveling I couldn't see. And
Oh,
also, ma'am, you have your means I don't know how to email or something, so you don't have your number to call.
I have my number. You can ask Umang. I don't
Oh,
want to give it
thank you.
on
Thank you.
social media, but
Yeah, okay.
yeah, Umang will share my number. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you,
Okay.
Snigdha.
See you guys.
Okay, thanks for being
Bye.
here.
Have a
Bye.
great Janmashtami for everybody who's celebrating. Bombay has amazing Janmashtami.
So
So
today you broke stigma. Today you broke stigma. Tomorrow we'll break matki.
yes, that's very unique to
Correct.
Bombay. Only Bombay mein the matki phodo thing happens, huh? Doesn't
Yes,
happen
yes.
anywhere else.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
See you, everybody.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye. Good
Thank
night.
you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. I just want to applaud a couple of people who's helped me for today's session. Neil, can you come online? Can I see you, Neil? Can you come on screen, digital Neil? Okay. Hemant, can we see you, Hemant?
Umang, we are still live. Is it okay?
I will just.
Recording has stopped. Oh yeah, live.
I don't know how to stop this. How to stop this live screening? I'm trying. Yeah. Neil, can we stop the live screening? I don't know how to do that. We are still on YouTube. Okay, okay.